Ethan, get out here." I finished my task, then stormed over to my neighbor's house, Jade's place. Jade only opened the door a crack, half her body hidden behind it, her eyes full of vigilance. "Sister-in-law, what's wrong? My husband is helping me fix the plumbing. He's having dinner at my place right now," she added, "but my house doesn't have any extra rice," her implication clear, as if she was afraid I'd come in and freeload. The husband she was referring to was none other than my asterisk husband, Ethan. Jade and I were neighbors in the same complex. I married the older twin brother, Ethan, while Jade, the childhood friend of both brothers, married the younger brother, Liam. I thought after marriage we'd have a happy, harmonious life, but to my shock, Jade turned out to be a classic green tea bitch. At our joint wedding, held on the same day, she brazenly called Ethan my husband in front of everyone. I nearly exploded right then and there. But she put on a pitiful act, her eyes welling up, her voice sickly sweet. "He's my husband's older brother, so what's wrong with me calling him my husband? Sister-in-law, is your heart too dark to think everything is dirty?" My mother-in-law blamed me for not being generous enough, and from then on, Jade and I had been at odds. I ignored her provocation, pushed the door open, and stepped inside. Ethan was wearing a soaking wet shirt, clinging to his body, revealing his physique. He sat at the dining table, his mouth full of greasy food, seemingly oblivious to anything amiss. My anger instantly flared. "Ethan, have you no shame? You specially asked to leave work early, and it turns out it was to come here and fix her plumbing." Ethan is my husband, and also my subordinate at work. Today, he said he'd leave early to stew chicken soup for me and our baby. But when I got home, all I found was a nearly empty pot of bland boiled chicken breast. And where was he? Enjoying a luxurious life at Jade's house. Jade seized the opportunity, clinging to Ethan, pouting. "My husband, look. Sister-in-law is so fierce, she doesn't respect my house rules at all." As expected, whenever she whined, Ethan immediately took her side. He frowned and reprimanded me in a low voice. "Ye ran, how can you just barge into someone else's private home? Is it so hard to respect others? Jade is a foreigner, she has different customs. Why do you keep forgetting that?" Hearing that, I was so angry I laughed. Jade was clearly a local, but just because she had 1/8 foreign blood and had spent 2 months abroad, she constantly flaunted it, acting superior. After we got married, our houses were next door to each other. I originally intended to build a good relationship, so on the very first day I brought local specialties as a gift. But she used the excuse of different customs to only let my husband in, while I was blocked at the door. She said that foreigners don't value family ties, friends are more important than relatives. And since my husband was her childhood friend, he was allowed in, but I wasn't. From then on, I never subjected myself to such humiliation again. Hearing my husband say that, I couldn't help but laugh. I pointed at Jade's revealing outfit and asked coldly, "A foreigner, you say? Can a foreigner wear a soaking wet, 2-second V-neck nightgown and flounce around in front of another man?" Ethan looked utterly self-righteous, nonchalantly saying, "Western culture is a bit more open. Jade has already educated me. This is perfectly normal. You've been conservative in this country for too many years. Don't use your outdated mindset to judge us. Get out of here quickly. Otherwise, Jade can totally sue you for trespassing. In foreign countries, this can lead to a conviction." Not only wouldn't he help me, but he was ganging up with an outsider to bully me. Did he really take me for a fool? Before I could even open my mouth, Jade swayed her graceful waist, stepped forward, and chimed in, "Exactly, sister-in-law. Besides, logically speaking, cooking is a woman's job. My husband here was kind enough to make chicken soup for you, and that's already very good. It's not like my asterisk husband, who works far away and doesn't have time to be with me, but I still obediently wait for him at home." Ethan looked at me and nodded in agreement. Wearing a revealing 2-second nightgown, breasts exposed, flouncing around in front of another woman's husband, and she calls that obediently waiting for her husband. My rage surged, my chest heaving violently. A gasp caught in my throat, I couldn't breathe. I was so angry I laughed, then lunged forward and slapped Ethan across the face. Ethan froze, his eyes wide with disbelief. Reflexively, he pushed me, sending me tumbling to the ground. My stomach cramped violently. The pain made me burst into tears instantly. My stomach, my stomach. Ethan panicked, taking 3 steps in 2, shakily lifting me into the car. Wife, just hold on a little longer. We're almost at the hospital. I spoke in a trembling voice. Wait, the fire in the house isn't out. The fury inside me ignited. I had only intended to drag Ethan back to turn off the stove myself. Who knew something like this would happen? Now, at least a few hours had passed. If we left it, the entire house would burn down. Even worse, it could spread to the whole apartment complex, causing casualties. Then I wouldn't escape blame. Ethan's face instantly changed. He clearly realized the seriousness of the problem. But the car had already gone quite far and was on a one-way street, making it inconvenient to turn back. Helplessly, he pulled out his phone and called Jade for help. It was just a simple favor, but through the phone, I heard her feign difficulty. My husband, it's not that I don't want to help you, but you know, we foreigners have very weak family ties. This isn't my responsibility. Ethan frowned. Can't you even help a friend? Jade's voice was nonchalant. If it were you, of course, I would. But this apartment is in sister-in-law's name, and cooking is a woman's job. It has nothing to do with you. If I help, it's like helping a stranger, doing hard work that no one will appreciate. Jade won't do it. I was speechless. I hadn't relied on her, but I never expected her to say such unreasonable things, even making Ethan hesitate. Looking at his weak, indecisive expression, I felt nothing but disgust. When the pain eased, I snatched the phone, scoffed, and said, "Stop beating around the bush. What do you want?" I don't know if it was my imagination, but I heard a hint of schadenfreude in her voice. Sister-in-law is an educated person. She must know there's no free lunch in this world. Helping you is kindness, not helping is my right. So I should get a small fee, shouldn't I? She didn't beat around the bush and stated her conditions directly. At first, I planned to ask for $50,000, but out of respect for your husband, I'll only take $20,000. Hearing that, I burst out laughing. Is it true that shameless people are invincible? Why didn't she just rob me? Did she take me for a fool easy to bully? But I wouldn't let her have her way. I immediately hung up, opened my contacts, and found the building management's number. But before I could dial, I received a text message. Your account has been debited 20,000 yuan at 20:14 on August 27th. Available balance, 500,000 yuan. In an instant, I understood what had happened. Ethan, are you insane? They clearly wanted to extort money from me, and you used my secondary card to transfer money to her. Wife, don't be angry. Don't let it affect your health. Jade's words also make sense. The safety of our home is the most important thing. Besides, she's not wrong. Housework is a woman's job. She helped you with such a big task. You shouldn't be angry, but rather grateful to her. There are times when people are so speechless, they can only laugh in utter absurdity. I pushed his hand away, not even wanting to be angry anymore, for I was completely disappointed in this man. I tried to endure the pain in my stomach, closed my eyes, and leaned back in the seat, beginning to think about divorce. Before our marriage, Ethan's family had put on an excellent show, but in less than a year, their true colors were revealed. My husband was entangled with his sister-in-law, and my mother-in-law meddled in everything. Perhaps because I was pregnant, they thought I was easy to manipulate. Today, Ethan dared to push me. Tomorrow, he might hit me. No matter how much I loved him, I had to understand that in marriage, one must first love oneself. Only by protecting myself could I protect other things. So, this marriage absolutely had to end. At this moment, I unexpectedly felt fortunate that I had insisted on my parents forcing me to notarize our prenuptial agreement. Congratulations, the baby is fine. When the doctor said this, Ethan finally breathed a sigh of relief. As for me, my heart had long grown cold. There was no joy at all. If there was anything to feel fortunate about, it was that it wouldn't affect my upcoming business trip schedule. As long as I completed this project, I could confidently deal with the mess in my family. Ethan was my subordinate, so of course, he also had to go on the business trip with us. After half a month of frantic work, I finally returned home. All I wanted was to soak in hot water, relax, and get a good night's sleep. But to my surprise, when Ethan and I stood before our door, we found the key wouldn't work. The lock had been changed to a type I'd never seen before. I knocked for a long time, but there was no movement inside. What's going on? I turned to confront Ethan. Besides his family, no one else could have done something so bizarre. Sure enough, his face showed a guilty expression. Ethan cautiously looked at my face, trying to explain. Wife, don't look at me like that. There's someone staying in the house right now, my sister-in-law. Liam recently lent Jade some money to renovate her house. She found renting outside too expensive and a waste of money. Besides, we're family, and our house would be empty while we're on a business trip, so it seemed a waste. So I agreed to let her borrow it for 2 months. As he spoke, his tone gradually became more confident, and he straightened his back. But you know, Jade is a foreigner. She values her privacy very much, so she changed the lock to avoid being disturbed. Don't worry, let me call her to open the door for you. I burst out laughing with anger. She demanded 20,000 yuan just to help turn off a stove, and now she's suddenly talking about family, helping each other, truly a shameless hypocrite with one trick after another. It turned out everything Jade did had a reason. It turned out the so-called Western culture he revered was just a cover for their shameless behavior. I snarled, my voice cold. This is my house. Have you ever contributed a single penny? Did you ask for my permission? And now you remember we're family. Then why didn't you think about family ties before when she locked me out while all of you were happily eating and drinking inside? I warned Ethan. Immediately tell her to open the door, or I'll call the police for illegal trespassing. When Ethan's mother first got married, she didn't hesitate to buy a separate house for Liam and Jade. Perhaps knowing my family had money, she didn't spend a single cent on Ethan. Luckily, my parents were cautious. Before our marriage registration, they bought this house with cash, and it was solely in my name. Therefore, this house was my pre-marital asset, completely unrelated to Ethan. Initially, he tried to gently persuade his sister-in-law to open the door, but when he saw my firm attitude, he immediately felt humiliated. His tone became irritable. You truly have no feelings at all. A husband and wife should be one family. Why bother with such clear divisions? Once we're married, your things are mine. I have the right to use my own home. What's wrong with that? And don't talk about Jade like that. Every place has different customs. We live in this country, so of course, we value family ties and etiquette. I haven't done anything wrong. As for Jade, she's half foreign. She has her own way of life. She's not wrong either. Why do you always twist things to sound so terrible, as if we're bullying her? Are you paranoid? If you don't want to live with her, then we can travel for 2 months. We can come back after she moves out. What's the loss? It just so happens we've been busy for half a month, so a break would be good. I'm only doing this for your sake. At this moment, I finally understood what it meant for a chicken to talk to a duck. In their eyes, only I was in the wrong. No matter what I said, he could twist it into his own twisted logic. He must have learned it from Jade, right? I didn't bother arguing anymore, but directly pounded on the door, making the whole building echo. Jade, open the door. If you have the guts, open it, or I'm calling the police. Ethan quickly raised his hand to stop me. Wife, why are you doing this? We're all family. Why make such an ugly scene? Click, the door opened. Jade poked her head out. Seeing me standing outside, she immediately looked annoyed, her voice even more grating than before. Oh my God, Yiran, will you stop it? If you're going to argue, don't stand in front of my house. Are you going to let people sleep or not? In front of your house. I repeated the 4 words blankly, feeling like I was hallucinating. What did she just say? In front of your house. Was something wrong with my mind after working continuously for over 30 hours? But her next sentence immediately pulled me back to reality. Jade glared at me, annoyed. Aren't you leaving soon, or do you want me to call the police and have them arrest you? I completely exploded. I raised my phone, started recording a video, aiming it straight at her face. If you have the guts, say that again. Jade didn't flinch, proudly saying, I can say it 100 times. This house is mine now. You people who live in this country for too long are truly provincial. You don't even know the law. I have French blood. According to my maternal homeland's customs, a house left vacant for a long time becomes ownerless. Anyone who stays for over 48 hours becomes the owner. As she said this, she became even more smug, as if intoxicated by her own cleverness. I'm living in my house. What's wrong with kicking out an outsider like you? I stood there stunned. This was the most ridiculous reason I had ever heard in my life. I had never met anyone so brazen in my entire life. From beginning to end, Ethan remained silent as a quail. I was so angry I directly kicked him, gritting my teeth. "This is asterisk your asterisk mess. Immediately kick her out of my house." To my surprise, Ethan stammered and fumbled, unable to say a word. Finally, he closed his eyes as if he had made up his mind, then said, "Wife, I think Jade's words also make sense. My brother's salary is low and he's often on business trips. It's not easy for her alone. What if she rents a house and encounters bad people? We're family, we should help if we can. Besides, your family has money, so let Jade stay here. We can just buy another house. A harmonious family is better, after all." Before I could even react, Jade instantly jumped up. "What are you talking about? Let her stay?" She was aggressive, not yielding an inch. "I am the legal owner of this house. Your words make it sound like I'm begging." I had originally intended to discuss it patiently. After all, she was an acquaintance. But she deliberately tried to seize my property and then used so-called foreign customs to lecture and patronize me. Did she think I was an idiot? If I still couldn't see through their family's ambition after this, then I was truly useless. I immediately stopped recording the video and dialed the police. "Hello, police station. I'd like to report a case of illegal trespassing and property seizure. The address is..." As soon as I hung up, I turned around to find them gone. The door was shut tight. Inside, Jade had already pulled Ethan into the house, sweetly saying, "My husband, you've been my best friend since childhood. You've worked all day, and I'm so happy to welcome you into my home to rest." Perhaps being spoiled for too long had made him blind. Ethan, without a word, helped her slam the door shut, locking me out. The police arrived very quickly. I pounded on the door for over 10 minutes, but Jade still pretended not to hear. It wasn't until the police threatened to break down the door that she reluctantly opened it. "Ms. Jade, someone reported that you illegally trespassed into a private home and seized property. Please cooperate with the investigation." Jade pretended not to understand Chinese, starting to babble a string of broken English, the main point being, "I am a foreigner, I deserve special treatment. If you dare to bully me, I will sue you to the embassy and my country will demand justice." She also constantly spouted vulgar words like "FXX gay" and "SHXD. I didn't bother being lenient. I took out my phone and showed the police the video I had just recorded. Perhaps having never seen such a shameless person, the female officer next to me chuckled. "Oh, didn't you say you don't understand Chinese? You spoke quite fluently just now. Why are you pretending? It's a big world, and there are all kinds of people who enjoy the benefits of this country while looking down on the very homeland that protects them. If you're so great, why don't you go emigrate?" I chimed in with a laugh. "Or is it because France doesn't want to take you, so you don't dare to go?" The female officer looked at me approvingly and continued, "You're a typical Western worshiper with a twisted mind. Don't bring that Western superior attitude here. You were born and raised in China, so you are Chinese. Don't think that just by sticking on some feathers, you can turn into a phoenix. Return the house to its owner immediately, otherwise, we have the right to detain you for investigation." Jade's face turned beet red with shame at being called out. As soon as she heard about being detained, she immediately panicked. After the police mediated, she not only had to compensate for the cost of changing the lock, but also had to pay market-rate rent for the entire period she occupied the house. The police also reminded me that this incident had been recorded in the file. If she reoffended in the future, I could call the police to have her arrested immediately. After resolving everything, I called a locksmith to change the lock, then opened the door and entered my house alone. Just as I was about to close the door, Ethan immediately stuck his hand out to block it. "Wife, this is my home too. You can't lock me out." "Ha!" I kicked him directly in the stomach, making him fall to the ground in pain. Then I took out the property deed, pointed at the name on the document, and said coldly, "Look carefully. This is asterisk my asterisk house. Even if I adopted a stray dog, I wouldn't take you in. Get lost right now. Don't pollute the air in front of my house." Jade didn't flinch. She pulled Ethan's arm, her voice full of sarcasm. "My husband, don't mind this crazy woman. Come stay at my place." The two of them left in a huff, and I could finally relax. But not long after I finished showering and lay down in bed, my phone vibrated. It was a message from the girl living across the street. "Yi Ran, were you just arguing with your husband and sister-in-law? I don't know if I should say this, but you're often away on business, and I've seen your husband and sister-in-law together many times, very intimately. Holding hands, even kissing. If it were before, I would have certainly caused a scene immediately. But now I just felt, of course. I no longer wanted to quarrel with that scumbag. If I wanted to deal with him, I had to wait until everything else was settled. After cutting ties with my in-laws, Ethan stopped coming to the company. I also blocked all their numbers and moved back to my parents' home to rest and recover after childbirth. Only when everything was handled did I proactively contact him again. When I met Ethan again, he had gained weight. It seemed Jade was taking very good care of him. He was living a very comfortable life. As soon as he saw me, he immediately raised his head, his tone sarcastic. "Only now do you come to apologize to me? It's too late. Let me tell you, ye ran without you, I live even better. After half a month of living at Jade's house, I finally understand what a normal man's life is like. Now I see clearly. You should marry a gentle wife, not a strong woman who even guards her pre-marital assets against her husband." Jade immediately chimed in. "Exactly, sister-in-law. I feel like you've never considered us family." I lowered my head to look at my documents, not bothering to reply. Ethan thought I was backing down, his expression softened, and he began to state his conditions. "If you want to save this marriage, it's not impossible, but you have to agree to 2 conditions. First, quit your job at the company. No woman should be struggling out in society. But the company can't be without a leader, so when necessary, I can manage it for you. Before, you were afraid I was better than you, that's why you assigned me a low-level position. I won't hold that against you anymore. Second, spend more time taking care of the family and me. Of course, the standards must be traditional. You're pregnant, just stay home and rest assured. Just make 3 meals a day for me. I just want to lighten your burden. That's much easier than working." Ethan counted off each condition on his fingers, becoming more animated with each word. The sound of calculations in his head seemed to clang like an abacus, making me want to cover my ears. "That wasn't all," he added. "Even though you can't enter Jade's house, she's agreed to come to our house and teach you little by little. Occasionally, she'll even stay over. Since we've received Jade's kindness, we should also know how to reciprocate. Of course, the master bedroom should be given to her." I stared at Ethan, emotionless. I truly wanted to twist his head off and shake it to see if there was any brain left inside. Talking to a man with only water in his head was a waste of time. I pushed the documents forward, my voice cold. "Look closely. I'm here for a divorce, not to listen to your crazy rant." Before I could finish, Ethan froze, his throat seemingly constricted. He jumped up, eyes wide, staring at me. "Ye ran, are you crazy? You're carrying our child." Jade also cut in, sneering. "Sister-in-law, your belly is so big now. Who else would want you besides Ethan? Women should know when to stop being angry." The 2 of them, one smug, one malicious, each word they uttered made me nauseous. I laughed, took out my abortion certificate and proof that Ethan had embezzled company funds under my name, and threw them straight at his face. As soon as he saw them, Ethan's face instantly turned ashen. His lips trembled and he choked out curses. You wicked woman, how dare you kill my child without asking me? You're a murderer, I'll call the police and have you arrested immediately." Then, as if remembering something, he angrily yelled, "No, that's wrong. The company is our marital property. What's wrong with me taking our asterisk money?" I smiled coldly. "Whether it's wrong or not isn't up to you to decide. Keep those words and argue them in court." I turned, raising my voice. "Lawyer Wang, please come in. My company's legal department isn't just for show." After a series of legal threats, Ethan completely collapsed. I used both carrot and stick, promising that if he agreed to the divorce, I would consider not suing him in court. Sure enough, a weakling like him only needed a little scare to break into a cold sweat. He was quickly subdued. Finally, I successfully divorced him. After everything was handled, I felt that the house was too unlucky, so I decided to sell it. I heard that Ethan had once returned, causing a ruckus, banging on the door, demanding the new owner open it. He even arrogantly declared, "Who dares to occupy my house? I'll make you regret it." He and his mother thought that by making a fuss, no one would dare to buy the house and they could automatically reclaim it. Unfortunately, this time they met a tough opponent. I had anticipated this family's thuggish behavior, so in choosing a buyer, I specifically picked someone with bulging muscles, a fierce look, and full of tattoos. The new owner's wife was pregnant and needed quiet rest, but Ethan made such a fuss that he scared her. As a result, the enraged husband opened the door, grabbed Ethan by the collar, slapped him twice like thunder, then kicked him repeatedly until he couldn't stand up. Ethan cried out miserably. If his mother hadn't knelt and begged for mercy, he probably would have been beaten into a cripple. Finally, he scrambled and crawled back home, never daring to come near again. Whenever he went out, he avoided the new owner, as obedient as a puppy. After that incident, I didn't leave the apartment complex. I even bought a unit in the opposite corner. One reason was to distance myself from my ex-in-laws, choosing the furthest possible location to minimize the chance of running into them. The second was that this area, though old, was convenient and close to the company. I didn't need to bother finding a new place. They were the ones who should leave, not me. But I never expected that day. After returning from work and preparing to park, I would find my parking spot occupied. And the car occupying it belonged to Jade. The apartment complex only had one entrance, and all parking spots had to be purchased. There was absolutely no spare. Clearly, she did it on purpose to provoke me. Anger flared in my head. I immediately called her, but she kept hanging up. I had no choice but to report it to building management, but they said they couldn't reach her. Out of options, I called the police. While waiting, I had to drive around for 20 minutes to find a paid parking lot. By the time I returned, the car's owner had arrived, but the person who stepped out was my ex-mother-in-law, Mrs. Zhang. The police demanded she move the car immediately. To my surprise, she puffed out her chest and spoke grandly, full of reason. "I'm an old woman, how would I know how to drive? You shouldn't bully people too much. Besides, this parking spot has been vacant for so long. My daughter-in-law thought it was ownerless, so parking here is normal. Officers, perhaps you don't know, my daughter-in-law is a foreigner. In her homeland, customs are different from ours. Places left vacant for a long time are owned by whoever occupies them. If left empty, wouldn't it be a waste of social resources? The ones who should be arrested are those who waste resources, like her. Buying a spot and not using it, isn't that occupying resources from poor working people?" The police were also stunned by her thuggish attitude. After regaining their composure, the officer sternly shouted, "What foreign customs are you talking about? Living in China means you must abide by Chinese law. I'm giving you 30 minutes to move the car immediately. As for the parking fee Mizzy Ran paid, your family must fully compensate her." As soon as she heard compensation, Mrs. Zhang instantly went wild. She rolled on the ground, throwing a tantrum. I suddenly realized why she came down to deal with this on behalf of her daughter-in-law. It was to conveniently play the rogue and fake illness. She used her age as a weapon, clutching her chest and wailing, "Oh, heavens, officials are bullying ordinary people. Everyone, please help me. I have heart disease. If I die here today, it will all be because of these two dirty men and women." The police didn't bother listening to her rambling, just coldly said, "If you continue to cause trouble, we will detain you for obstructing official duties." At this, she slowly crawled up, glared at us, then reluctantly called Jade down to drive the car away. Perhaps because she wasn't punished too severely this time, just a few days later, the mother and daughter were up to their old tricks again. This wasn't a sustainable solution. I couldn't keep bothering the police, and they were also reluctant to deal with such petty matters. To be honest, I had many houses. It wouldn't be difficult to avoid this crazy bunch. But why should I be the one to back down? Jade was a housewife with more free time than me, but if she wanted to play a drawn-out game, I was ready to follow her to the end. The next day after work, I parked my car directly in Jade's spot and went home. I enjoyed a steak and a glass of wine, relaxing and enjoying the evening. As expected, my phone rang, but what surprised me was that the caller was the police. As soon as Jade saw me, she became visibly excited, probably thinking she had finally won. "Excellent. Officer, you came just in time. Immediately take her to the station. I will not accept mediation. We foreigners value privacy and personal property very much. If she doesn't compensate me 50,000 yuan today, I will expose this online and see if people believe you are bullying a foreigner." Well done, daring to threat even the police. Truly an incredibly confident rogue. The police originally intended to handle it routinely, but hearing this, they immediately became angry. 50,000 yuan? Why don't you just go rob someone? Daring to brazenly extort money in front of the police? Do you think I don't know anything? You were the one who deliberately caused trouble first. Now that someone is simply doing to you what you did, you can't stand it. Everyone, let's all go to the police station. I need to settle this once and for all. I took out my phone and showed the police surveillance videos proving that Jade had occupied my parking spot multiple times before. Officers, according to the apartment regulations, each parking spot has a clear owner. She has deliberately parked in my spot many times. I don't want to imitate her, but I can't keep looking for paid parking every day after work, incurring extra fees. This has seriously affected my work and life. Previously, the police only handled things on the spot. Moreover, because they were minor issues, Jade and Mrs. Zhang had exploited loopholes and gotten away with it many times. But this time, it was a big deal, going to the police station, and I was determined not to let her escape. I argued logically while deliberately feigning weakness, then presented a certificate of nervous breakdown and a statement of damages for lost work time. Finally, after mediation, Jade was forced to compensate 20,000 yuan for work and emotional losses, and had to pay on the spot. I thought everything was over, but I never expected her to be this insane. The next day, when I returned from work, I found my car couldn't leave the parking lot because Jade's car was completely blocking the exit. Behind my car, a long line of other cars also couldn't move. Car horns blared throughout the entire complex. Management staff ran back and forth, sweating profusely. But when they called Ethan's family, all their numbers were off. I never expected them to be so shameless. For their personal gain, they were willing to affect the entire community's operations. Not only that, Jade's car also had several large A4 papers taped to it, with bold print. Building 6, Yiran owes money and won't pay. If you want me to move my car, call 13XXX to demand she pay her debt. I demand Jade return the 20,000 yuan she extorted from me. Gradually, some people called me angrily, but many others just cursed in frustration and left. Although I was very angry because I was about to be late for work, I had no choice but to walk to the company. Throughout the day, my phone was constantly harassed. Unable to bear it anymore, I had to turn it off. I never expected that a brief moment of inattention would lead to disaster. That evening, returning from work, I saw a column of black smoke rising into the sky above the apartment complex. Flames lit up the corner of the sky. Looking closely, I realized with horror that the burning building was my old apartment. But the only escape route had been completely blocked by Jade's car since morning, preventing firefighters from accessing it. Residents in the area gathered, buzzing with discussion. When they couldn't reach the car owner, building management and the police had to urgently call a tow truck to remove it. But in just a few minutes of delay, the fire had spread even wider. I was so panicked I couldn't think of anything else. I rushed to Jade's house to beg her to move the car immediately. 20,000 yuan was a small matter, but if people lost their lives, that was a huge one. I didn't want innocent lives to be implicated because of the conflict between Jade and me. But as I reached downstairs, someone grabbed my arm. I looked up and recognized it was my former neighbor from across the hall. She looked at me gravely and asked, "Yiran, are you going up to save your sister-in-law and ex-husband? Don't go up there, it's beyond saving. Those who could leave have already gone. The rest are likely in grave danger." She probably didn't know I had divorced, but now wasn't the time to explain. I shook my head, my voice urgent. "Jade has blocked the escape route. The fire trucks can't get in. The longer we delay, the greater the risk. I have to tell her to move the car right away." Hearing this, my neighbor's expression turned strange. She hesitated for a moment, then said, "Don't you know? The house on fire is your sister-in-law's house." I froze on the spot, her explanation echoing in my ears. It turned out Liam had just finished his temporary work and returned home to surprise his wife. Unexpectedly, upon arrival, he witnessed his wife and his own twin brother, Ethan, having an affair in bed. The two culprits, caught red-handed, were so terrified they hid in the room, refusing to come out no matter how Liam pounded on the door and threatened them. Then Mrs. Zhang, the brother's biological mother, also arrived to mediate. Initially, Liam's anger had gradually subsided, but one sentence from Mrs. Zhang hit his breaking point. "You also have to understand Jade, son. You're always away on business. She has needs too. Besides, your brother is divorced, and I also need grandchildren to hold." With just one sentence, Liam immediately lost control. He was enraged to the extreme, set the house on fire to force the two out. Previously, when marrying Jade, Liam had suggested she move abroad with him to settle down. But she firmly refused, claiming she missed her hometown and didn't want to leave home. In reality, she just wanted to drain Liam's money while secretly staying close to Ethan. For a long time, Jade had secretly loved Ethan, but Ethan chose me, wanting to exploit me. So, the two had been secretly having an affair behind Liam's back. During their argument, the main door wasn't closed, and the neighbor opposite heard everything. It wasn't until they realized the fire had erupted that they frantically tried to put it out, but it was too late. Explosions constantly rang out on the upper floors, and burning materials collapsed from above. My neighbor pulled me back. Just then, the fire trucks finally managed to get in. High-pressure water continuously sprayed directly onto the flames. After over an hour of firefighting, the fire was finally brought under control. Not long after, ambulances carried 3 severely burned, charred bodies, smelling of smoke, straight to the hospital. I breathed a sigh of relief. Fortunately, the fire occurred during working hours, and the apartment's evacuation was timely. Apart from Ethan's family, no one else was injured or killed. Later, Ethan and Mrs. Zhang suffered severe burns. Resuscitation attempts failed, and they died at the hospital. As for Jade, although she survived, her entire body was severely burned, causing her to moan in pain day and night, leading neighbors to constantly file complaints. Liam was sentenced to death for intentional murder. Looking at their fate, I felt a sense of reflection. If Jade hadn't been envious of me, hadn't been greedy, if she hadn't blocked the fire trucks, perhaps their entire family wouldn't have met such a tragic end. Good and evil have their reckoning, harming others ultimately only harms oneself. But I felt fortunate. Fortunate that I escaped in time. Fortunate that I wasn't caught in this whirlpool of karma. To live on in peace is the greatest happiness.